Hey guys, what's up? This is David from ConMenRDW here, and welcome to a video. I just wanted to do this real quick because we are a week away from the release of Monster Hunter Wilds. We're a week away from Peak dropping on consoles and PC. I cannot wait. And I also have two fellow hunters here from the community. One of them you might recognize. We got the monkey, the hunter.
Yo, it's me.
The monkey! We got AG Backtech, aka Brendan here. And we also have friend of the show, also hunter partner in crime, Gina here.
So guys, it's GinaMeko here.
Yes, thank you for being here and joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Friend of the show, always in chat, hanging out during the commentary podcast, but also Brendan's partner as well, and also I guess hunting partner once the game comes out. Y'all gonna be running the set versus many a monster out there in the wild. So
double teamed everybody.
The couple that
double
hunts
teamed
together,
up.
something. So.
Double teamed up on a Friday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Not the afternoon.
You slice them, I bonk them. I'll play my little, go in the bag, start playing little ditties.
Hit him with the
little jig.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Like I said, it is February 19th on day of recording, so we're less than 10 days out, literally a week away. I'm excited. The people that have
I'm hella excited.
People have been getting their preview codes. People have been starting to post like final previews, early reviews. I think too have been floating around a little bit here, and the hype is building. And we had our second and last open beta test last week, and I currently have I think like maybe 10 hours logged in total of beta playtime since we've been getting those things. And yeah, I love the way this game feels, man. It feels so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do y'all think?
I'm loving it. Like, I love that this is the first beta that dropped, and my weapons have changed around a little bit. So when I started playing Monster Hunter, I started with the dual blades, then went from dual blades to sword and shield, sword and shield to hammer to bow guns and bow guns to horn, and now I'm back at hammer, and I'm actually picking up gun lance. Because
better thing to say would have been,
cool
what are the weapons that you have not touched or do not prefer?
I pretty much worked with every weapon in the entire. It's only 12. It's only 14 weapons in the entire game. I've used all the weapons, and I feel right at home, especially with the hammer, especially with the shit that they added. I can just go start bonking the shit out of motherfuckers. It's so good. The horn was always my favorite because in Rise, they did some really cool shit and made the gameplay a lot simpler and a lot smoother and a lot more fun. But I'm loving what's available. Big ups to crossplay finally after all these goddamn years.
Yeah.
Like,
hunt where you're at.
Really,
yeah, but
it's giving.
I am really happy about that.
We listened.
Yes, it took so long.
We have the technology finally.
We've been had the technology. It just chose not to do it. Like you thought that with Rise, with it coming out on Switch and then a later PC, PS5, Xbox, it would have been crossplay. But through a weird technicality, it is only crossplay between the Xbox versions on PC on the Game Pass or the Microsoft Store and the console version. It's super weird, but it does still work. The Steam version is just a Steam version; it's its own thing. Yeah. PlayStation, Switch, etc.
With the Wilds beta, how it was literally it dropped on pretty much everything, and whatever you had it on, you had to. The only thing was you just had to go through the really steep, weird ass curve of figuring out how to connect to your friends' lobbies and be in the same instance with the environment link shit.
Yeah, friend of the show, Chaosifies, was actually verbally frustrated.
Tilted
with how bad it was. Tilted. Yes. He was like, "I'm going to not."
An understatement.
He was like, "I am not going to buy this game because why does it take so damn long to set up for a hunt?" And I'm like, that's fair.
Yeah, the first night we all had our hands on the game. Many people were just like, I don't even fucking feel like I want to play this anymore because it's like I can't. Because I understand the whole concept of like with Rise, for example. Turn the game on, skip all the cutscenes, do the hunt, go. Within 5 minutes, you're hunting something. With Wilds and also with World, which is why a lot of people are like, yo, we're playing World. I haven't started it yet. God damn it. Like, it's the whole process of this is a lot more contextual in comparison to Rise, or even like the Monster Hunter prior to World, where there's a lot of set dressing and world building. They have to get going first. Even though once you get going and once you're probably in the open area, it's a lot easier to just jump in and start grouping up with people. But the fact that you're going to probably have to go through some cutscenes, you're going to have to do some first missions and early tutorial stuff before you're able to actually start linking up with people. And then you have, like I said, then you have to figure out how to get people's hunter IDs, and you have to figure out how the lobbies work. Then you got to make the environment link, which we didn't. You got to make the link party, then make the environment link within the link party. So
it's
basically like they
much.
made Monster Hunter Wilds as close to an MMO as they possibly could without giving us Monster Hunter Online, basically.
Not for real.
No, for real. But enough about my rambling. I can go on all night. Gina, what were your thoughts playing? I know like you've been you started in Monster Hunter World, and then you kind of bounced off of Rise for a bit because you kind of liked how World felt. Like I know you had like in our group we've had like differing opinions. Like I'm more of a Rise fan because I play a lot of the portable games, a la 3, 4, 4U, Generations Double Cross, and then now going into World and going back to Rise. Rise felt more at home to me. I played the portable gen a lot longer. But what did you think about the beta so far? The betas so far.
Honestly, the first beta was honestly like it was great. In both how good the game was and how pissed off everybody was getting at like the randomest shit. But yeah, no, I started with World, and the thing that I liked with World more than Rise is that World is more of a, like you said, it's more of a contextual, like it's like almost like a narrative game, because it's like this once in a lifetime thing that's happening in the world, as opposed to Rise. It's just like it's the rampage. The rampage happens every X amount of years, and this is just the year we have to deal with it. So yeah, going into Wilds, it's definitely like I'm definitely excited to see where like what the narrative is. Like obviously we know that there's this child in the like Forbidden Lands. We have to get him home and like figure out the mystery of the Forbidden Lands. But so yeah, definitely seeing the narrative exposition as well as the actual like environment itself, because just the first area they have you in for the beta is like
so beautiful. That's
so expansive.
It's incredible.
And I feel like even like in the few times we were playing, I feel like I never took the chance to actually just walk through and explore the entire area. So definitely getting the chance to finally do that will be interesting, and seeing like how they're all connected, like how the environment,
how the routes link together and stuff.
Yeah.
I've talked to or I've heard of a couple people that have played it already saying that it is as seamless as it's portrayed to be, where it's like you can just go from one, like the plains that we're currently in, to the forest. That's basically just like that area's cut off from us to access in the beta, and then that goes to like the oil basin magma area, and then the frostlands and stuff. I don't know if there's going to be loading times in between. I haven't gotten the yada yada how that works.
I would assume.
Yeah, like if anything, like in between zones or in between open areas, there's probably like a loading. But other than that, it's like you can just go from this part to this part. Because
definitely in World it's definitely implied that all the areas are connected. Like there is some like mini explanation to be like how one area is connected.
Yeah,
like
even on like the world map, you can kind of see
the Rotten Vale.
Mm-hmm.
So having a more seamless and open world experience is definitely going to be interesting for Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
like,
I kind of wish that World had that.
Yeah,
where like it's a more open world, a more seamless type, no loading zones, because we went from like playing on portable gen. Getting used to not having a loading zone was a difficulty curve in itself, because the loading zone provided safety. Because if you got smacked by a Rathalos tail, you're free in the other zone because it's a loading screen between zone 8 and zone 9. And now it's like, okay, in World, it was like, all right, I gotta heal. I am dying from poison, but the Rathalos will still chase you down all
To
the way
the
to
ends
wherever
of
you're
the
trying to
earth.
go.
Mhm.
To the end. I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. Time beat. And yeah, it's definitely, I do appreciate what Wild, is doing with this more seamless open world structure, at least from what we can tell with all the zones. And then of course I'm hoping that as we, because on the map there are points where it's like, okay, hey, this is blocked off from the beta, but this will like take it to the next zone, so we can just like more seamlessly walk from zone to zone if need be.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I kind of hope they give us the ability to just like, I know that it's like they lock it behind like the levels and stuff, like all the other monsters and stuff, but I want to be able to just walk to the last level and just like fight Arkveld off rip.
I'll pull a Breath of the Wild.
I'm pretty sure,
Here's the final boss.
If
Kill
anything, I feel like they're gonna just contextually block off each area by like a hunt.
Yeah.
And then once maybe it's probably like 8 hunts, 10 hunts total, fighting all the new stuff first, and then you can just beeline to that. Once the whole world's unlocked, then that's when like I guess high rank probably unlocks and stuff maybe.
That's probably usually how it works. So.
Yeah, at the very least, high rank will be its own. It will probably be its own instance, like how it is with World, where high rank, low rank, high rank, and master rank are technically separate instances. Where I can do a master rank expedition, and versus Gina, she can do a high rank expedition. We're still in the same zone, but with how expeditions work, it's a single player excursion, and that's one thing I am glad to see changing, is that since everything is very seamless, there's no loading screen or anything like that. Like maybe a little bit of loading, of course, but it's not going to be a screen. Once you leave the camp, you're in expedition. That's it. And of course, pairing on with the environment link thing, everybody's there real time. So let's say me, you, and Gina were like, okay, we got some time. We're gonna go ahead and do a quick hunt. I gotta fight some Chadacabra. I got time to kill. Y'all want to join in? We jump in your environment, jump in your party, and be like, okay, let's go. Then we just split off, and then let's say, Dave's gonna fight the Chadacabra because he needs some parts. Gina and I are gonna gather some resources because we need herbs and ore and honey and whatever we need to craft our potions to have our materials ready. Mm-hmm. We'll just fork off, and then if you're like, hey guys, help, then we can just turn back around and autopilot our sacred there, or fast travel to like a temporary camp, which we'll probably get into.
Yeah, let's actually talk about the sacreds for a little bit, actually, because
my bird
so much.
I'm missing my bird.
Man, I miss my fucking bird.
My bird wolf creature. I'm looking forward to more context of like how, because they showed in that one showcase, that one stream, that they're baby sacreds. They look like little baby chicks or whatever.
Yeah.
So they do hatch and they do grow up to be that size. They don't just spawn that size like all the other monsters. So it'll be interesting to like get a little more context of like the culture, I guess, in the game of how they started using these as mounts. Unlike in the Rise, where it's just, here's your cat. Oh, and you have this dog. This big ass dog.
Tokyo Drift with that dog.
Yeah.
Go.
What you do though.
It is, and it works out very well. Like I love that's one thing when jumping back from Rise. I already finished Rise and Sunbreak on my Switch. Switching back to World, it felt so much slower because you didn't have a reliable way to get to the monster or a reliable way to do everything that you needed. You had the Tail Riders, which was like a primitive version of the Palamute riding, but even then, you cannot control where they go. They just kind of do their own thing, and then you get kicked off, and it's like, okay, that's my stop, I guess. Versus with the Sacred and the Palamute, what you could do is you could sharpen your weapons, you can drink up your potions, you can ping the monster on the map. Like, even on the Sacred, you have an opportunity to attack on horseback, practically, swinging at the monster, getting some licks in as you're going through. Yeah. Or, hey, look, this thing's about to run away. They brought back paintballs. However, it's not so as a point to track the monster, because on the map you can see them in real time at all times. With the paint tracker, what that does, it sends a ping, so that way anyone else in your party that's not actively part of that hunt, it's a ding. Hey,
oh, that's what that's for.
Alfredo Shiguma, it's over there. Yes, exactly.
I was wondering because I was like, it seems counterintuitive to keep the paintballs nowadays in modern.
Yeah, times. It's more of a ping system. If anything, for people to help you hunt it or track it down. Just like how they have, of course, dung bombs or the dookie bombs, dung bombs are super important, and then they have like a mega dookie bomb where you will get ganged up on by multiple monsters. A la watching Gina play, she got ganged up by. She was fighting Alpha Doshiguma. 2 other Doshagumas ganged up out of nowhere.
So what I feel like what it is like when you just randomly encounter the Alpha Doshiguma, like the two betas are just always there. It's like
it's part of the
his little lackeys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like fighting the what was that early? It's like the Isu, whatever the heck that the jaggy looking thing from like early Rise that always had this little goons around, but it's like, okay, we're gonna take the raptor idea, but make them bear lion dog things.
Yeah.
And they're just worse. It's just
they're just bigger and biggerer and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Biggerer
and worse.
Things was worse or worser.
So yeah, we got the sacred in the beta, which is like we're all loving the sacred. I like the gliding of the sacred too. Like,
That's
once
cool.
I figured out how to actually trigger that. It's like it's not really like you need it. I haven't seen a gameplay mechanic where you need it. There might be a area, I would assume,
probably
later where there's like gusts or something that you can use to get to higher areas. Maybe
I would assume like it's replaced the from what we know of in the beta. The gliding mechanic from the sacred will likely replace the mantle, at least the glider mantle. Because remember,
the gillies and stuff.
Exactly. In
World, right?
fuck, I forgot the name. No, I'm trying to remember the exact map. Coral Highlands. That's what.
The Coral Highlands.
Yeah. When you fail, they tell you, hey, making the glider mantle is required because you got to face off against like Yana here, and usually he flies away, or when he goes back to his camp, the fastest way to get to him is riding that gust of wind just outside the map, and you get right up to him right then and there. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I would assume that we're gonna get like gusts of wind or like geysers or steam geysers to help propel your sacred to go a bit further to make it from A to B or A to C, because your sacred is always within arm's reach. Like 99% of the time, they are always there, which is fantastic.
And we're gonna get the customization too, which is gonna be great.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if, like how you have your Palamute in Rise, if the Sacred's gonna have combat abilities, because you have your Palamute and your Palico, and it's a 3-player hunting squad effectively. Because don't sleep on the Palicos;
seems like
they do work.
Made the Palicos more capable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because right now the Sacred is like, when you're in a hunt, the Sacred's kind of just in the back, just like standing there.
Mm-hmm.
He's just there.
He's your backpack,
which is dope. For real. Which is dope because it's like they don't take damage or anything, but it's just like I suppose they probably won't take they won't do combat because they don't take damage, because it's like this is literally how you get around. But it would be interesting to see like, maybe in like some dire situations,
they had
if
some
there's
type of like combat defensive AI on them or something.
So I mean, just keep in mind,
like it's a special move or something.
Mm-hmm. To that I would say, again, since the game's coming out in like less than a week, who knows?
Or if your Palico
about a week or so,
it and use it for something.
Exactly.
Actually,
that would be a mechanic that'll probably unlock story wise like later, and you could just like make that a command kind of thing. But looking at that, comparing the Sacred to the Palamute, because that's like the most close direct comparison, the Palamute is not immortal. It can faint in the field because it is a combat buddy just like your Palico. So it is likely that I want to bet that the latter of the Palico rides the Sacred and then does some combat, like, hey, I'm going to shoot some arrows at it, or hey, I'm going to throw some stuff at it from afar while you get in close. Like kind of like an advanced AI mechanic thing.
Actually,
maybe.
I was gonna say, I feel like I remember actually seeing that in one of the betas. Like actually, the Palico's riding the Sacreds.
That makes sense.
But no, you're right. That is, I think, because in the UI you don't see the Sacred's health bar or anything. So yeah, that probably would make sense. That it's not
just remembered as we've been talking about this. The reason the Sacred isn't combat, like doesn't fight, is because they've added the ability for you to call NPC hunters to help you. So you don't need the Sacred to do it, because you can call Hunter. Yeah, you're gonna have like also like the NPC hunters fighting with you, like the contextual hunters too.
And that's gonna be cool.
That's what that's gonna be.
I'm curious to see how well they fight, because I'm willing to bet you they nerfed them compared to Rise.
That'll be so cool.
Yeah, I guarantee you they probably nerfed them since Rise, because in Rise, like, the NPC hunters were strong as shit. They were really tough.
There's that one lady I saw in the trailer. She had like, what was it, like a lance or a gun lance or something, and she's just like bulky ass armor, looking like a whole knight. And I'm just like, oh yeah, she's gonna be busted.
Oh, in Wilds?
Yeah, in Wilds in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna be busted. Like like I said, knowing how the NPCs worked at the very least in Rise, how it worked, because this is a Sunbreak only. You would start a quest with that partner in tow, and then you would like choose their equipment. Like, some people were like, okay, they'll do lance or gun lance, hammer or sword and shield. You would choose their weapon, and then the AI does the rest. And like I said, they hit like trucks. It's insane how powerful they were. So with that being said, they're probably going to dial back their overall strength a bit, but making Hunters for Hire just ready on the spot can help supplement the lack of having your friends to play with you or having a dedicated squad. Because, for example, let's say because David, knowing your schedule, you have a little more free time than we do during the week because you're off a little bit earlier. That being said, let's say, shit, I'm bored, I want to kill some time. You go a hunt, do single player, call in a couple NPCs if things get rough, and then you can make your way to the quest and still get the
thing. Yeah, I'll probably end up checking that out.
Yeah, I would also imagine that the Hunter for Hire is probably going to be way more helpful, especially once you get closer to like high rank and master rank.
Oh yeah.
Because they're definitely going to be meaty. Because honestly, even in the beta, like, not that these monsters are hard, like, as is, but it's like they're definitely. I feel like these ones are definitely a little bit beefier compared to the early game monsters in World.
Yeah, agreed. Like, it's and that's probably a combination with how the scaling works. I'm not sure that since it's an easier drop in, drop out, once you play online, are you set to 4-player or multiplayer scaling, or are you set to single player scaling? And does it change dynamically on the fly?
And there's that star system too for the rating difficulty of the monsters.
Yeah, also. And I think that's where it counts. It's like each monster, it's scaled. So like, let's say for example, you're fighting. You can see 2 Chadacabras. There's no alpha Chadacabra that we see. Let's say there are 2 Chadacabras on the map. One's a 3-star, one's a 5-star. The 5-star is more going to be geared towards, hey, you should have a team take this on because it's going to have a bit more health, like up to a multiplayer level health, multiplayer level damage. It's going to take you longer if you do it solo. It's still doable, but it's going to be scaled up in a way where you're going to have to fight a little bit harder versus the lower star ranking. While it is the exact same thing, while it's the exact same monster, it's still lesser, smaller health pool and a little bit weaker, maybe a little bit less aggressive. Sorry. Again, this is just all speculation. We really won't. That's my guess. But like I said, once we'll probably get a full breakdown on all of that UI and all those elements once the game comes.
So like speaking of the monsters, let's actually talk about like what we think of the current monsters we've fought in the beta so far. Like obviously they're the basic starting area monsters, nothing too crazy. Like we've killed at least a dozen or more Chadacabra, Balahalaras, and Goshagumas. And honestly, Raidao, like that thing was
cool as
that
shit.
Thing was very intimidating when I first got my hands on the game at PAX. But like after fighting it and watching it straight blunderbuss like multiple monsters in the face,
that shit was wild.
Honestly, I think once you get shot in the face by Raidao a couple of times, then it's a lot less scary.
Yeah, I understand it now, but
its lightning strike can get blocked by like a regular sword and shield too, which is crazy to me.
Let's talk about Raidao for a second. Let's start out swinging.
Yeah.
So first of all, for those who don't know, Raidao is one of the newer monsters added into the game. There's like a whole slew of new monsters. Raidao is probably one of the most prominent. However, funnily enough, he's not the poster. He's not the flagship, which sucks to me because I love his design. I love what he can do because his lightning, his railgun obeys the laws of physics in that, hey, if there's a lot of sand in the base map. If he hits some sand with like his supercharged fucking railgun, it fucking glasses and turns into a spike. Which if you do that, if lightning strikes sand IRL, that's what it does. I'm like, oh shit. So cool. And then one thing David and I did where we were just like recording one day, we turned off the background just to listen. The sound design is amazing. Yeah. Because he sounds like a fucking transformer. He's a flying gun.
Like that thing looks so like cool. A living being, but that thing is mechanical on the inside. Like
and it's like he like when he flies around and moves around, it kind of sounds like old rusty wind chimes clanging together in the wind. And then like it sounds like and if you this is a weird pull, but follow me here. You know how you watch like old school sci-fi movies like from like Twilight Zone and shit, and you hear the woo, the fucking theremin type of sound? That's what it makes. It's like woo as it's flying away. I'm like, that's phenomenal. Like there's just hearing all the different elements they put in, because fun fact, I'm not sure we discussed this on the podcast, but monsters in the game are mocap, or just people acting it out. Yeah. And then they animate the monster skeleton over it. And it's fascinating. This is what's done in movies, of course, with films like Godzilla, for example, or Pacific Rim, but same concept applies there. And it's fascinating the levels of design that they went for that. It's a man in the suit. And honestly, Ray Dow currently is one of my favorite monsters, like next to Zenogre, just because design-wise, theming-wise, everything about it is super fascinating. And again, just when the sky gets dark and he charges his gun, it's like, hey, yo, block or dodge or run. You are not going to survive. And it's so cool. Or die. It's super cool.
The fact that, like, even with Ray Dow, like, even when the environment changes to the storm and you're like, the hair on the back of your neck is already standing up, it's just like, you're already in your oh shit mode. You're like, where the fuck is he at? I know he's nearby.
Especially when, like, the oh shit moments amplify, because it feels like time kind of stops, where you're like, you're caught mid-roll or you don't have a shield and you're about to be point blank or sniped. It's like, case in point,
it has its David was down playing. And you're looking right at it. It's like, oh,
yeah. David, it was one time we were playing. I think I was like on my way catching up to David. He was fighting Ray Dow. I just hear him go, ah! And he gets shot. I was like, let me guess, you got shot. He's like, yeah, I got shot.
Within the next like month or 3 months, somebody is gonna make a compilation of people just screaming every time Ray Dow shoots them dead in the face.
The microphone peaking, like dead ass. It's gonna be so fucking funny. You're just gonna hear, oh no. It's just it.
Like,
dude, I'm looking forward to seeing what its weapon and armor set looks like, because you know it's gonna be gas. It's gonna be gas, bro. The electric, like, passive that's just gonna give you is gonna be so heat. I can't wait. My God. And that's like another thing too. It's like everyone, we've been fighting Chatacobras, all the like Doshigumas, everything else. Well, in the beta, we had the base armor, because we had the Hope set, which is just like the base box set, Chatacobra armor, Balahara armor, and then the Doshiguma armor. But we hadn't seen Ray Dow. We haven't seen
Arkveld.
We've seen Lalabarina, the spider for the forest. They've shown a couple in like previews, but like we haven't really seen any weapons from these monsters yet. And everyone's just like, being able to play the beta and fight these monsters is cool, but I want to reap the rewards.
I guarantee you, Ray Dow's heavy bowgun is just going to be a railgun. It's just going to be a railgun.
Better be, honestly.
And like, it's I'm going to touch on the other monsters real quick here. These starting monsters, honestly, very good. Like, I'm kind of tired of the Jaggy, Great Jaggy, Jagras, Izuchi, which is like this raptor-looking ass bastards. Like, give me a big ass fucking frog. We're not getting. I don't think we're gonna get
this ground liquor ass.
This ground big tongue, fucking Gene Simmons long tongue having ass. Like it's I do I do love the variety but simplicity of the Chatacabra and Doshiguma. Like Chatacabra, big ass ground frog thing, walks on its knuckles, and Doshiguma, big ass ugly bear dog, pug looking ass.
The ball of horror, bro. This drill sand snake thing.
The fucking kaiju, the fucking Pacific Rim ass monster.
Dude, it looks when it opens its mouth
is glowing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Actually, honestly, sorry. I was gonna say what I appreciate is like this first area is a super sandy area. Like none of the animals that they're like modeled after are things you would find in a desert.
Nope. Like maybe Balahara at most with really, like burrowing through the sand, and that's stretch. And that's another thing I appreciate is that like, the base area is not just a generic forest; it's a desert that has
rocky canyons, open plains, desert dunes.
It's like it has like it has like a wide variety of biomes in one place, which is really good.
And each of the monsters kind of have the areas they kind of stick around too. Or it's like no monsters in an area where you wouldn't expect them to be. Like the Balaharas don't go into the plains because why the hell would they go in a place where they can't dig around? You know?
Yep.
And it's like the Raidows will kind of float around everywhere, or it'll probably stay in the areas where there's like it's open enough for it to maneuver, but also the sand so it can make those crystallized spires when it shoots its lasers at you. And then like that one area where like basically its home area where it's all the crystal and electrified ground. It's so charged.
It was so pretty.
The pulses of electricity on the ground. It's so sick, dude. Love that.
And like actually, I will and shout out to the fucking whatchamacallit. Shout out to the lightning rods because that that Doshiguma got zapped.
Yeah,
and it's like an environmental effect.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is like these turf wars that the monsters are getting into.
Intense, dude.
Like
they're nuts.
Raidow is just wiping the floor with everybody. I don't know why they even try.
Yeah. Or even like the Balahara when 3 Balaharas or 2 Balaharas gang up on somebody, they will not survive. Like I've seen Doshigumas and Chatacabras get tangled by one and then basically speared in the chest by the tail of another one, or just shot in the face with like mud from another one. And it is like it's crazy. Like, and every time I see these turf wars take place, I stand back. I'm like, I'm just watching, bro. I'm not even involved. Y'all ain't looking at me. I'm watching how this is going.
I'll let y'all figure it out.
My hands are up.
It's very much like, you know what? Let me go heal and like sharpen my weapon over here in the corner, hiding.
Damn, nature, like, scary type B.
no, for real. It's like, damn, this place is built like that for real? Shit.
Loki, like, these monsters go finish the damn hunt for you the way they be going at it.
Bro, when I saw, when Raidow shoots something in the face, you're like, is the hunt over? Like, how did you live from the... he critted a Doshiguma for 1,000, like 1,300 damage. I'm like, God damn.
Why aren't you dead?
Yeah.
Why aren't you dead?
And then didn't we finish that one off in like 2 hits after anyway?
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, basically.
So I probably imagine they have it set so it's like the whatever the turf war is, they can't go below a certain amount.
It's a damage cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for real. And it makes you wonder. Speaking of turf wars, it makes you wonder if they're bringing back, or at least implementing, wyvern riding from Rise, where you could take control of the monster and just duke it out, like Ratatouille style, just controlling them by their fucking spikes.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna run you
each other.
Because you use the wire bugs to puppeteer them around, and that is the meta to get through high rank and master rank hunts quicker, because what's gonna do more damage than your weapon? Another monster. So what you do is or a wall. So what you do is like you're fighting, let's say for example, you're fighting Valstrax, one of like the high end game monsters. Fucking if a Rathalos just shows up, you're like, mine. You just go up there and just take control over it and start breathing fire on the Valstrax and slamming
Crash
into
of the
it.
Titans type beat, just jack a monster.
And then you jack the other monster you're fighting and do the same thing, but slam into a wall a couple times. Does like hundreds of points of damage right then and there, like it's free. So it's like, oh, okay.
And then also, and since we're talking about like new mechanics and things like that, let's talk about that lock-on system and the wound system. Honestly, it's like once you get the hang of it, because like in every Monster Hunter, obviously there's always like they'll add a couple moves or animations to certain weapons and things like that. Like obviously in Rise, that was probably the most dramatic change in a while because of the Wirebug moves that they added, where it's like 2 specialty Wirebug inputs per weapon. But in Wilds, we have this wound system, which is basically hold down left trigger, and then you will go into a reticle mode where you can then see certain parts of the monster that have been overly damaged or have been exposed to high amounts of damage, and then you can pretty much do a special input, which is usually like R1 right bumper, and then you can then
like
just
L1.
something like that. And then you can just basically do a really cool ass input, cool ass move, and then just pretty much break the wound or just open the wound on the monster, do hella damage, stagger it, stuff like that.
Cash out.
And then depending on what you're doing with your weapon, that kind of also opens a third state to certain weapons. Like when I'm using my charge blade, that then gives me pizza cutter. So now I have like the freaking honestly, stuff like that.
Honestly, yeah. I do appreciate that. Like, they added like a bunch of the flare moves for each weapon, because it's like the switch axe feels way more like axier.
Where it's like you can
I know what you mean.
Because with the switch axe now you can basically amplify the sword mode more, right? Yeah, it's real cool.
My favorite so far is the gun lance, because the gun lance, what you do is that you crack it open where it exposes the barrel where you load the bullets. That turns into a fucking drill, and it's a dentist drill. It's like,
oh, that's crazy.
You start drilling into the monster. I'm like, oh no.
That feels like such a correct thing to do with. That feels like the only thing to do with the gun lance.
It's so
sword
sick.
And shield. It's just you're beating into the wound with the shield, and then you just freaking cut down and like pulled it. It looks fatal. It looks disgusting, honestly.
All of the moves.
Why is this guy dead?
Everything is just times 10.
They put their whole ass into this game. It's great.
The moves
really
feel
did.
harder. The monsters are tougher. The environment is tougher.
And this is just the first area, bro. We haven't even seen it.
This is probably just low rank. Let's be real.
The lowest stuff.
Oh, this is definitely
the tutorial area, bro.
My personal headcanon is that lore and geographic wise, this area that we're in is connected to the area from World via the Guiding Lands, which is like the post DLC area that you're in, where there's like extra tough monsters. That is my headcanon. It's connected through there, because that is the only way that all of this makes sense. Because why is this toad so goddamn hard?
I mean, I know, like, they always do some type of post-game expansion that goes crazy, like 2 years or so after the game's initially released. So, like, whatever the Sunbreak or Iceborne of Wilds is gonna be insanity.
I'm already so intimidated / excited for the base game. I'm honestly scared for DLC.
I'm so ready
for DLC.
Because I'm curious what they're gonna add in the DLC. Because right now, what we got confirmed, Mitsuzune is coming in Season Pass. It's coming through like into first wave. We already got returning monsters like Gormagawa, who was a fan favorite. Like, have his poster right the fuck up here.
That's Rathalos is gonna be walking around the plains too.
Oh, Rathalos is the poster child. He has to be there, probably in like the mid-range, low-rank next zone type beat. Yeah. But one thing I'm also curious about is how are the weapons going to look? Because with
Rathalos gets his ass kicked by Raydell.
That'd be so hilarious. Because case in point, looking at the hunting horn. The hunting horn, the Hope hunting horn is a fucking saxophone. So I'm like, I get to serenade your ass. All right, this is great. I'm curious because I adore the weapon designs that are like, oh hey, some of them are loosely inspired by the monster. Two of my favorite hammers. One of the first one, it was both in Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate. One of them was just like a gun. It was like the revolving barrel of a gun with the hammer on the back.
I think I remember seeing
it's a fire hammer. and then the other one is just a Rathalos head on a stick.
I'm hoping that the Chatacabra hammer, because I know the Palicos, they have like their little Chatacabra outfit. It's literally just like a toy Chatacabra hammer with like a tongue on
cute.
it. I'm hoping the hunters just get a bigger version of that, because that is so fucking cute.
I hope they do too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I love how the Balahara armor set for the Palico is just him in a mech suit. It's so cute.
Yeah, dude. Which is like,
it's so cute.
They're probably gonna just make a Balahara weapon just a drill. Probably.
Yeah,
so.
It better be. Yeah. Because I miss my drill hammer from the Celtis Queen from that set. That shit was so cool because when you charge, because it spun slowly, and then when you charge your hammer swing, the jets on the back would start igniting, and the drill would start spinning faster. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's small things like that that are so cool that I just adore about really well thought out weapon designs, as opposed to in World, that was a big complaint where a lot of the weapons look the same. Where it's like, oh, it's just weapon that's this color with the guild logo on it. That's really it. Oh, you want a lightning hammer? Okay, here's a yellowish hammer. You want a ice hammer? Here's a bluish hammer. But you didn't start getting the good looking shit until later, like in Iceborne I'm playing right now. I made the light bow gun. It went from like the standard looking bow gun to like a belt fed bow gun with a big ass box magazine attached to it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I know it's just aesthetic, but it's cool as shit. It even had a fucking laser sight on it. So I'm just aiming off the laser sight, shooting at these guys with the bow gun. I'm like, you know,
what we've seen so
stuff
far,
like that matters.
They definitely look like they're.
I was gonna say it's the small details like that make the Monster Hunter franchise what it is, because it's like everybody's favorite thing about Monster Hunter World realistically is the Meowscular chef and grandma. And
Meowscular chef and grandma.
We haven't even seen nobody cook nothing. We've only been making meat, fish, and cabbage. We haven't been making nothing.
Listen. So speaking on the cooking, another thing that I noticed is like I got the rhythm down when you do the barbecue roast. Fun fact: if you turn the music off, the hunter hums the theme. So it's like, and if you know what you're looking for, like you can either go off audio cue or just off visual cue, where you see the meat at a perfect temperature. I love how rewarding they made it, because if you time everything perfectly, you can walk out instead of with one steak, you can have 12 steaks just ready. Like it's just you have like a big old rack of ribs in your back.
That was a really good like quality of life improvement for sure.
It's
just being able to make your own food wherever you want to, but it's probably not as potent as like the food you can get made at the actual diner on camp. But
yeah, that is a fair trade in my honest opinion. But that shit was really fucking cool.
Capcom, where's the Monster Hunter cookbook?
No,
we need another one. Yeah.
Listen, it's already available, but it's only in Japan. Please release it to the US. Reprint the goddamn tankers. Please bring them back. Otherwise, I want to talk to some people who know how to work wood and wood burning and figure it out, because that shit is so nice.
Or just learn a new skill.
I already have enough in my skill book. Leave me alone.
Speaking of quality of life updates, another thing I do appreciate from the game is the amount of accessibility options for like visually impaired people and audibly impaired people. Like even for myself, like I don't have any issues with like color blindness or anything, but I personally have mine set to the cyanochrome or whatever the last option was, and because it just makes some of the colors pop so much more, and it's so much easier to see everything.
Leave it to Capcom having good color balance and color options, because case in point, I like to refer to this all the time. It's my favorite example: a blind man went to Evo playing Street Fighter 6 with the accessibility options. Let that be the standard of, hey, a person who is physically disabled because they cannot fucking see can go to the world's biggest fighting game stage successfully and play on the main stage. So it's just like accessibility. This wave of accessibility in games it brings a tear to my eye, because gaming is for everybody.
It literally is. I definitely am excited to see how more people with like disabilities or like different abilities work with this game or just other like games in general.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like someone do a breakdown, because with how technical and fast-paced and hectic Monster Hunter is, a lot can happen in seconds. You can be fighting a Doshiguma, minding your own business, and then Ray Dow's gonna come out of nowhere, cocking the gun off screen. So it's like, and then you get blasted.
Yeah, and definitely in terms of like accessibility too. Like last thing I want to probably talk about before we wrap up here, of course, is the thing that everyone's starting to get asked now, since both of the betas happened. The hype is starting to build. You have the friends who are casual in Monster Hunter or have known about it, but are like, this might be the one. You start getting the questions: should I jump into this Monster Hunter, or how hard is Monster Hunter type things, you know? And we've already had a couple people that are like, yo, I never played Monster Hunter before, but I'm gonna play this one. Like, I've never gotten into the franchise, but this is the one. And everyone's like, pretty much everyone unanimous is like, this is the, if you don't hop on this one, you just don't want to play Monster Hunter, period, honestly. Because like, this is the most accessible the game's ever been. The game is actually like the most chill it's ever been, in terms of like, you have your mount, you have a big ass open world, it's seamless, there's so many different ways to connect with your friends, it's cross-play, it's honest, it's all there.
Yeah, this is like, bar none, this is the Monster Hunter to play, period. Just
bold
because
italic
of
capital.
Bold italic. Listen, like, it's so serious. I have to repeat myself. This is the cave. I'm just kidding. This is the Monster Hunter to play, period. No arguments, no taking backs on that. It's for real. Just because of the fact that you have so much, like Monster Hunter Wild, or Monster Hunter Wild learned the mistakes from Rise, because Rise was the most accessible. Even to this day, the game is still sold over millions of copies last year. After the hype of the beta last year, that game is old, and that game is still doing numbers. One of Capcom's best games ever made, period. That being said, it was very accessible. Like, with the hype of Monster Hunter Rise or Monster Hunter World, and then arguably the flop of the movie did bring more people to play Monster Hunter. That was the most accessible for everybody to get it. Now, my gripe with it, as someone who's played Monster Hunter for a long time, is that it was too handholdy and too cinematic, in the sense that you couldn't skip the cutscenes. So even if you had a new save file, they should at least give you the option to skip it. And I'm assuming you do have the option to skip cutscenes, if I'm correct, in Wilds, and of course Rise to skip cutscenes. So that being said, they also give you a plethora of tutorials, information on how to use your weapon, more or less how the game works. And with the ability of crossplay, you always have a friend, or if you don't, you have AI hunters to jump into the fight and help you.
Yeah, the AI hunter thing is going to help a lot of new players for sure.
It really is.
If they don't have other friends that play Monster Hunter and they're jumping in alone too. Be real helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the Monster Hunter community is going to explode again, because
the Monster Hunter community is one of the most supportive gaming communities, because they're all like, anytime anyone new is like, I want to play Monster Hunter I've never played before, they were like, thank God you're new.
I was gonna say, like, sure, you have the option to play online with randos, and it's like, for most games people are super weary about that, but I was like, yeah, for Monster Hunter I feel like they're pretty chill about it. Like,
it's the most friendly for it.
Yeah,
it's the most friendly for it, because you can do a hunt with randos, or have your home hunt be open for randos, and then they'll jump in, help you kick its ass, and then leave. There's there's little to no voice communication that can lead to toxic behavior. Sure, people will find their way around it, but overall, people like myself, while I may not be any official Monster Hunter Discords, I do have a lot of friends that play Monster Hunter, and I can just jump in and out whatever group I want to play. That being said, as someone in the Monster Hunter community, we are very welcome and open armed to you learning the game. Case in point, shout out to King Two Darks for wanting to pick up Monster Hunter. He's never touched the series at all, so he's jumping in this game blind. He did play the beta for a little bit, but he is blind to everything. And then shout out to Loggy on the opposite end, who is one of the prime expert hunters in our circle, because he just finished killing Fatalis, who is one of the hardest monsters in Monster Hunter, especially for endgame, like endgame master rank, which is the highest rank in the game. And we have a couple other friends who reached out and say, hey, I want to check out Monster Hunter. I don't know what weapon is right for me, or I don't really know what to do. And she's like, okay, fantastic. Step 1, buy the game. Step 2, let us know. Because we can, like I told one of our friends, I'm like, hey, look, there's no such thing as the best weapon in the game. It depends on your playstyle. And that's what I love about Monster Hunter, because you have so much player expression, where, case in point, I did not like the sword and shield. I did not like the hammer. I felt it was slow, especially the hammer. It felt slow, clunky, boring, and not interesting. But once I got used to it, I'm like, home run. Let's go. I'm always knocking monsters out, getting KOs, breaking horns, breaking parts, back to back to back to back to back. Sword and shield I slept on because I'm like, oh, it is set so and created. It's created as a basic level weapon. It's like, oh, you have a fast attack speed, decent damage, decent status build up, an okay shield, but you're mainly doing having a lot of attack speed.
Uppercut and like freaking shield check the monsters in the face. I was like, bro, y'all didn't tell me this was just throwing hands. Y'all didn't tell me sword and shield was throwing hands.
It's good. Like sword and shield, I loved it in Monster Hunter 4U. I just wish they brought back the oil system, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But regardless, out of the 14 weapons, 14, you're going to like at least one of them. I would technically say there are 13 weapons in the game, because the light bowgun and the heavy bowgun are effectively the same thing, except heavy bowgun is heavier, has longer range, better damage, versus the light bowgun is obviously lighter but more mobile. So light bowgun, as someone who's played gunner, light bowgun is really good for solo hunts, because you need to be able to move, buck and move, and stick and weave in and out of monster attacks while dealing on the damage. Heavy bowgun is really good for support. You're basically playing the sniper from like several meters away, just popping shots to get some extra damage in while you're afar, and you just pick up and then.
Yeah, even though there's so many weapons. Yeah, what's up, Gina?
No, I was gonna add on to you guys earlier. I think in addition to like it's definitely based on playstyle. Another thing is like there's honestly different weapons kind of sort of work better for different monsters in a very slight way. Like it gives you a slight advantage. It's not really enough to be like I need to learn this whole different weapon just to build it up just for this. But like they said, there's 14 options. And the game really does encourage you to try out all of them. Like in World, they give you the training room, and like they give you the basic defender weapon for all 14. So you literally get the chance to try out and like learn all the base movesets and see like which one is best for you. So
at the top of this game, to kind of do like a little like in-game questionnaire, like what type of vibe are you going for, and then they just give you one based on that to try out. Like even like a friend of the show, Connor, when he was doing he turned on the beta and got to that one part where there was just switch out your weapon and hit this barrel and just try out weapons, and he was in that for an hour and a half trying every single weapon until he kind of landed on one that he really liked. And it's like for me, yeah, like for me, I'm like, I started out with I really fucked with switch axe heavy, and then over time, since they added the charge blade, and when I figured that out, I'm using charge blade now, and then I realized I was using it half correctly because I didn't even know I could charge my sword, and I was like, oh, now I'm playing the game. It's like,
now this is where the game
hidden inputs the game does not tell you. Yeah,
no, for real, and like definitely keep an eye out for like definitely keep an eye out for a lot of those like really good guides. Like shout outs to Eric's Gaming.
Dude,
for,
I'll
like,
be thinking about Eric's all the time.
Teaching me how to use hammer effectively and using charge blade effectively. Because with charge blade, with it being so complex, there's a rhythm to it, and once you get the rhythm down, you lock in and you're doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And for me, when I started out, I'm like, okay, hunting horn, because I came off of Rise using hunting horn my entire way through, and it's like, okay, it's just like how I expected, except a little bit more, which is fantastic. And then of course I shuffled around. Like once the first beta, training room was not available. Second beta made it available, and then once it was, I'm like, okay, let me just cycle through all my weapons, and that's when I landed on hunting horn as still a probably, hammer and gun lance is a definite, because that shit was fun.
Yeah, and then for me, I started like, funnily enough, in World, I actually started with the greatsword because I tried my best to speed through all the tutorials and didn't bother to read them. So I got through half of the game with the greatsword, and I was like, this is really slow. I don't like this. So that's when I did the thing that you're supposed to do and went back and tried out all the weapons. That's how I landed on Switch Axe and ultimately switched over to Charge Blade because I was like, I want to try something new.
Yeah, and it's a good fit. Like I said, there's all these weapons. There's something for somebody out there. It just depends on your play.
If you can't find a weapon that fits your playstyle in Monster Hunter, then unironically the game just might not be for you because there's like they've got the great sword for people who just like, I want to be like Hercules and do a huge bonk. They've got the long sword for everybody that wants their anime moment with Sephiroth.
Yeah,
like, they've got like 3 different gunners, like
twin blades
4
if you
different...
just want to literally just
no,
do a lot and do so little.
Dual blades, like, you do, like, 2-3 damage, but the combos are
the animations on dual blades now are insanity, dude.
I would say, if anything, like, dual blades is really for, like, if you want to just, like, build up, like, poison or paralysis or status proc, if you want to do, like, if you want to do dots, damage over time, you're gonna be using dual blades because that racks up fast.
And that's the other thing, is, like, we joke about, like, the dual blades and, like, certain weapons not doing as much damage, but what they lack in like actual attack points, like they make up for in something else. Like you said, with dual blades you get to proc status like sleep or poison and stuff like that, so it makes up in some sort of way.
Yeah, and also like even still with that, they've added other mechanics to the game that on surface level some people don't even think about as much. Like I said, the wound system, that's like a big thing. Like that helps you get a lot more critical damage on monsters, or helps you try to, like, if a monster has a tail and you want that fucking tail gone, wound system the tail.
Yeah,
like that helps a lot.
Or if you're doing hunts because you're trying to like look, what's the word I'm looking for materials.
If you're material farming,
yeah.
And also like using the environment, like the environments are so dynamic in this game, and they've only gotten better with how they use like lightning storms. Lightning striking monsters just passively helps. There's like multiple areas where you can just pull rocks down on monsters. There's probably going to be a lot more crazy stuff in different parts of other maps, like we saw like in Orwell Basin. There's like literally turn the flamethrower on and just crisp a monster and do damage that way. There's a lot of other things that if you know the layout of a map and you have that environmental awareness, and also turf wars and things like that, all that other stuff, you can really take advantage of. No matter what you're doing, even if you're using twin blades, you can kill a monster like by just taking advantage of the full mechanics of the game and stuff like that too. So they've done a lot. This series has evolved. As someone who's played since, I have not played in the beginning of Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter is well over 20 years old now. As someone, while I did not play in the early stages, like PS2, PSP era, I did play a lot during the Wii U 3DS era, and like I definitely got my feel for it. And then I've been just following it religiously ever since. I am so happy to see that we're at this point where we have crossplay. We have all the weapons got revamped in some way, shape, or form. They still play the same, but also different at the same time, and it just adds more depth. And then all I'm saying is that I'm curious to see how they're going to handle the expansion, because so far, with every expansion they added, Sunbreak, Iceborne, and now whatever the hell is going to be in Wild, it's likely going to be a new mechanic that they add on top of it to make your hunts easier, or to add another layer of depth to how you play the game. And honestly, this is just a really big move and really huge momentum for Monster Hunter fans, veteran or otherwise, to jump in and
go in and have a great time. It's gonna.
Yeah, I would say all that. Yeah, all this to say, going back to David's question earlier, about people asking like, is this the Monster Hunter to play? Yes. Very short, sweet to the point. Yes, this is the most accessible. Like honestly, like we could use all the big fun like buzzwords and all like that, but like this really is the Monster Hunter to play. The only concern I would have for brand new players is that up front it might be a little bit overwhelming.
Yes.
And to that I would say start with World, because even though it is a little more hand-holdy, it also hand-holds you into how like the UI and stuff kind of works, so it's not completely overwhelming.
Yeah, a lot of the UI elements are the same. Like the HP bar, the stamina bar, that's just aesthetic changes. The weapon, like the weapon wheel, the item bar, the radial wheel. The radial wheel, of course, did change.
Radial wheel a little bit, not gonna lie.
Because the radial wheel is super cool because you get multiple loadouts right then and there.
Actually.
It's a lot faster, and you can label them.
I'm gonna take like an hour setting up my radials, bro. Like it's gonna
exactly.
Yeah.
But with that,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like we're about to say the same thing, but like all that to say, that's the word I was looking for. This is the most customizable Monster Hunter.
Yes, ever been. It's ever been. It's the most fun.
You could really fit this to whatever you need it to. Like if you like, let's say you want to play it but you don't like spiders, they got the arachnophobia mode, so you don't have to see the spider. Like they thought of the people. So if you were hesitant to play and you're still hesitant to play, watch somebody play it.
Yep.
Grab it on a sale.
Honestly,
friends and play it with.
Honestly, grab, like, if you're really hesitant about jumping into Monster Hunter for the first time, again, like, you could grab it on sale. Like, I think right now Monster Hunter World is like $10.
They throw those games away. They throw them away.
They're like every other month or every few weeks. It's like, oh hey, it's time for a Monster Hunter sale again. Get Monster Hunter and Iceborne for like $20.
You wait until
the
holidays.
Rise and Sunbreak for like $30, and it's like that's hundreds of hours of content for dirt cheap. And like Gina said, World, like all things considered, World is a very great play. Like World and I want to say Rise. I would love to. Chance. World and Wilds are the best Monster Hunters for beginners. Me personally, Wilds is the best because of all the good shit that's come with it thus far. World is really good for contextual, where like you can just turn your brain off on the game's plot, but turn your brain on to the mechanics that they introduce, to the things they teach you about, and that the handler or the captain will bark at you. Hey, do this, do this, do this. Like, so that way you kind of get it, and then you just do the damn thing. But yeah, it is quite daunting. Like, luckily Monster Hunter, unlike older Monster Hunters where the difficulty curve was a 90-degree angle, the current gen Monster Hunter is more of an exponential curve. It's very steady. It is going to get more difficult, but what gets more difficult is not necessarily the weapons themselves. They all stay just about the same, especially if you read through all their manuals, watch tutorials, watch some guides, practice, like lab up in the training room. It only gets more difficult when you start getting to higher strength monsters, where they hit harder, they're faster, they have more health, they have elements that you may or may not have seen. Like, for example, Odogaron, fast ass bastard, procs you with bleed. I have not seen bleed since Monster Hunter 4, which is a while ago. So
yeah, so like, and definitely with the curve with World and Rise, it's like I said, it's a little bit more hand-holdy in the sense of like, okay, you know, you've gotten pretty comfortable with the monsters now. We're gonna step it up a notch and see if you're really about that shit.
Yeah. Are you really with the shit?
Yes. Also, just one last addendum. The reason I specifically say World as opposed to Rise is just because, as most Monster Hunter veterans or just big fans will tell you, the games kind of work in a like almost sequential, like chronological thing, but it's like every other game. So World is very if you just look at the two games, World very much is a precursor to Wilds, and so while you can still get all the same information and base mechanics from Rise, it'll just make more sense when you play it in Worlds and then you go to the context of Wilds.
Yeah, it feels like when it comes to like, and piggybacking off of that, it feels like once you've mastered or close to mastered World, Rise is a graduation from it. It's like, okay, you know the gist of it. We're gonna strip away some stuff and make it less handholdy, add some new mechanics, and see how you do. Because, like I said, as someone who's played all the portable gen, I feel right at home because the learning curve is a lot steeper, which is what I'm used to from an older gen. So I'm able to navigate and mitigate a lot of the onboarding by just blitzing through it because I know what to expect. I know what to do because I've done it. But yeah, it's definitely a logical jump to go from World to Rise, if need be. Like we said earlier, the game they're giving it away almost all the time via either Steam sales, Epic Game Store sales, Humble Bundles, even. Like, you will find that game for cheap at some point. Even if you don't want to invest in Iceborne just yet, you can get the game for like $10. $10 for like easily 50 plus hours of gameplay from low rank to high rank. And if you want more, buy Iceborne and you're good. But you're honestly better off buying Iceborne because it might be just cheaper in the long run. But you get the idea. It's definitely worth investing time into, and I am so happy.
Yes, I love hearing both of you talking about Monster Hunter because like you both are the full-time hunters in comparison to me. I'm more hunter casual, but I'm looking forward to exploring the new wilds with y'all in the next couple days here. We're all gonna literally just be binging this game for the next full month. Where's my goddamn pig, Capcom?
Boogie.
Where's my freaking pig at?
Yeah.
Look at this.
Where's my fucking pig?
But yeah, like definitely keep it locked over here on ConMenRDW. We are going to be playing a lot of Wilds. We are going to be streaming a lot of Wilds. I'm probably going to get Gina and Brendan on again to just do general Monster Hunter content conversation probably. I feel like Brendan could also definitely lean into his Monster Hunter expertise and make Monster Hunter videos if he wanted to. But also,
I want to. It's fun.
We have a bit of content in the workshop of ideas that we're going to be trying to make when Wilds comes out as well. So definitely keep it locked for that also. But yeah, just keep it locked here at ConMenRDW for more Monster Hunter content. Follow Brendan over at AG Back Tech. Follow us at ConMenRDW, and then Gina will be in chat.
Yes, sir.
Follow me on Blue Sky, but like I don't do content yet. But
links in description.
I just be chatting. Yeah, description.
Definitely keep up with us. And if you miss our silly mug, guess what? We have a show tomorrow. Yes. So I will see you guys tomorrow evening as well.
All right. Thank you for listening to us talk about Monster Hunter Wilds. We'll see y'all out there in the wilds. Have a good one.
Happy
Bye.
hunting.
Yeah.